On today's adventure, I'm going to teach you how to have a road trip and a truly epic adventure for really, really cheap. What I mean by cheap is basically a tank of gas a day and a few extra bucks here and there for the price of admission. So check this out. 5 days, 4 nights, amazing adventure every single day for under $1,000. Let's go. On this road trip, we're leaving Salt Lake City, Utah, and heading to Carlsbad Caverns National Park in southeast New Mexico. Now, the most direct route is going to be about 900 miles, and since we have a lot of things to see along the way, we are not taking the most direct route. We're going to zigzag our way down. And on a trip like this, be sure to purchase your annual park pass for all national parks. It's $80, it's good for a year, and it provides you admission to all national parks and national monuments. By doing that, we saved a ton of money on this trip. Our first stop is the Meteor Impact Crater just east of Flagstaff, Arizona. Here, we were able to see and marvel at the world's largest and best preserved meteor impact crater. It's a quick stop and absolutely worth the visit. After the crater, we're back on the road to our next stop, the Petrified Forest National Park. The Petrified Forest is really cool because the whole area is covered in fossilized wood and in some circumstances, complete and intact trees. Depending on the minerals that seep into the wood when these trees are being fossilized will depend on what color they turn. There's blues and greens, reds, oranges, yellows, all different manner of petrified wood. Aside from all the many hikes you can do in the park, the drive all by itself is worth making the visit. The colors in this desert are absolutely incredible. And another thing that makes the Petrified Forest National Park extra special is the fact that it shares a border with the Painted Desert National Park. And the road that drives through both parks is a part of the original and iconic Highway 66. And the Painted Desert has a lot of hikes you can do, but on this trip we were running short on time, so we were just able to stop and see the roadside attractions, and it was well worth the time we spent to do it. But because it was getting late, it was time to make our first camp. On day 2, we put Arizona in our rearview mirror. Our next stop, White Sands National Park, New Mexico. White Sands National Park is a pretty beautiful area. What looks like snow is actually bleached white sand dunes, and it's just incredible to drive through. I've been through a lot of sand dunes, but never ones as white as this. However, there was a little bit of sadness to this trip because the whole reason I came out here was to see some fossilized footprints that were recently discovered and that changed most scientists' opinion of human history in North America, only to learn that those footprints are still being studied and therefore not open to the public. So we made do and just had fun sledding down the sand dunes. And I'll point out, you can rent these sleds at the ranger station in the park. After White Sands, we hit the road and were surprised with an unexpected roadside attraction, the world's largest pistachio at McGinn's Pistachio Land. Now the funny thing is, this stop turned out to be my wife's absolutely favorite stop on the whole trip. At the visitor center for the pistachio plantation, they had prickly pear treats and chocolates, as well as a wide variety of different flavored pistachios, with plenty of free samples. So this was a fun and unexpected stop. After Pistachio Land, we were headed towards Carlsbad Caverns National Park. But first, it was time to make camp. Day 3, we made it to Carlsbad Caverns National Park pretty early in the morning, just after they opened. And by arriving at the park so early, it gave us plenty of time to do the 1.2-mile hike down into the earth and still have plenty of time on the second half of the day. After Carlsbad Caverns National Park, we hit the road to our next stop, Roswell, New Mexico. Honestly, I think everybody needs to put Roswell, New Mexico on their bucket list road trip destination because it is a fun, funky little UFO town. In fact, Roswell is a world-renowned destination for the ancient alien community. Aside from all the fun little alien displays that the UFO Museum has, they actually do have a pretty wide collection of a lot of other occult and UFO-related paraphernalia, dating back to different centuries as well as different civilizations that might hint at the existence or the visitation of extraterrestrials. And fun fact, some of these pictures of pictographs and petroglyphs are actually taken from the state I currently live in, Utah. And if you're interested in seeing a more full, in-depth video on any of these adventures or even some of these petroglyphs, I have full videos on the channel. After spending a couple hours in Roswell, it was time to head to our next destination, Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Fort Sumner isn't just a random place to stop on a road trip. This entire area is absolutely saturated in some of the most iconic American West history, and home to the intriguing figure, gunfighter, and some say outlaw, Billy the Kid. And the Billy the Kid Museum has more than just Billy the Kid paraphernalia, including his original rifle and some graffiti that he wrote on a rock at one of his camps. There's actually a ton of interesting stuff in the Billy the Kid Museum, including a taxidermied two-headed cow. But just down the street from the museum is the actual gravesite of Billy the Kid, and for someone who's interested in the West and Western icons, this is kind of a must stop and see. And I know some people think it's weird to stop and see people's gravesites, but to me personally, it's just paying respect to someone that had a huge impact in history. And Billy the Kid has a pretty awesome tombstone. After the Billy the Kid Museum and gravesite at Fort Sumner, New Mexico, we hit the road and made our next camp. Day 4 took us through northern New Mexico and Santa Fe, where we made a brief pit stop to see the Amphitheater. And this natural formation sits right alongside the highway, so it was a really quick pit stop and a lot of fun to experience this effect.
Hello! Cuckoo! Echo!
That's a pretty neat feature.
Woohoo! Oh, sole mio, lo solio, no será mio, dice la noyo.
After the Amphitheater, we hit the road and jump into Colorado to our next stop, Mesa Verde National Park. And if you're unfamiliar with Mesa Verde, it's a park that is well known for its cliff-dwelling ancient ruins. And what makes these ruins so fascinating is how little is known about the people who built them. These castle-like structures were built over 1,000 years ago and then were mysteriously abandoned, which makes this entire park even more intriguing. This is the Grand Palace, but there are many, many other cliff dwellings and ancient ruins within this park. I would say that Mesa Verde National Park is one of the most overlooked national parks and most fascinating places in America. And even if you don't manage to secure a tour through any of the ruins, there's still a ton of hikes through some amazing landscape where you will also get to see other cliff-dwelling ruins. And after checking out all the ruins and hikes in Mesa Verde National Park, it was time to make our next and final camp. Day 5, we hit the road headed back home, but not without first making an iconic stop at the Four Corners Monument. Four Corners Monument is where New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona all connect together on the same corner. And it's the only place in America where you can walk through 4 states in under 2 seconds. Four Corners Monument was our last scheduled stop, and that made 11 adventures in 5 days and 4 nights. A lot of people think the driving is just too much, but personally, I love these long drives. Listening to podcasts, seeing amazing scenery I'd never seen before, and the fact of the matter is, the adventure is in the journey. So for your road trip, first, you have to pick a turnaround point, somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 miles away. That's where you're going to turn around and go back home. Then you're going to look at your map and find places that are going to be basically 300 miles a day. Now, you can do 500 miles a day, but that's a big day, and you're really going to want to have some time to do adventures wherever it is you're going. So personally, I don't really like driving more than 300 miles a day. And 300 miles a day may sound like a lot, but it really isn't. If you leave at 6 or 7 in the morning, you're going to be at wherever your first night stop is in the early afternoon. And it's important to really look at the map to see where you're going to drive through, to find things to see on the way each day. Now, some days you're going to have 3 adventures, while other days, the bigger drive days or the bigger adventure destinations, you're only going to have 1 big adventure. But by the end of your trip, you will have spent under $1,000 and had an absolutely bucket list level adventure. Because of the sheer volume of adventure you can have doing things like this, I strongly advocate this year, skip going to Disney, don't worry about Hawaii, plan a road trip. You can make it as big or as short as you want. The bottom line is you can have absolutely epic adventure and do an amazing road trip for not very much money. Now that was a really fun experience. If you have an idea for an adventure that we should go on, please put it in the comment section. And if you're looking for some more adventure ideas, you can click one of these links and go to the page, because there's literally hundreds of other adventures going on there, and I hope to see you next time.